Here today, I have Gary Nelson. What key life experience that have formed who you are today?
I grew up with a sister and an aunt who were physically disabled. This is before ADA was a law. I observed how my sister and my aunt struggled with that. I felt I wanted to do something in my career. I didn't know anything about architecture, but I wanted to do something. To me, family is everything. It's extremely important. What also formed me is, having my own practice. Starting NOMA and being part of NOMA has formed me. And these are different parts of my career. But because what I always wanted to do is give back to the community.
How did you become passionate and involved in architecture?
I love to build models growing up. And so I would make all types of models growing up. And so that's why I became passionate about architecture too, because I didn't make build, this is before Lego. So they didn't have Lego buildings, but I built all kinds of things. And that's how I became passionate about it. I truly wanted to make a difference wherever I live. I read as much as I could, but there wasn't a lot of books and stuff about architecture then. It's still kind of mysterious. So like I said, the passion still goes back to just wanting to make a difference.
What are your core values and how are they reflected in your practice?
My core value is that it's not about me. It's about the user. That's the number one core value I have. Another core value is integrity. As an architect, realizing the importance of what we do. Honesty, and I say that because everybody isn't always honest. I'm extremely passionate about accessibility. And that's a big core value for me for any project I do, because accessibility for all means that everybody can be part of it.
What is your design process?
When I went to school, I did have the thoughts of being a designer. Very early on, I realized design was not my strength. My strength was taking a concept, the thought of the design, and putting actual sizes to it, details to it, making it real. So that's really my process. And that's a process of researching, seeing what's been done before, what hasn't been done before, talking to engineers and other consultants. So that's my process. It's not design. It is, but it isn't. Yeah, that's my strength.
How do you collaborate with other individuals to realize your impactful work?
And I'll use Banquet Ballpark as an example, Chase Field as an example. None of us ever worked together. When we put together a team for that project, 20 of us never worked together, ever on a project. We were all strangers. It's identify the strengths because everybody has one. Everybody has one. And figure out what's the best way to work together. And we check egos at the door. And so that's how I collaborate.
How has Peter Zumthor's architectural ideas in buildings impacted your architectural practice?
He made this statement in his philosophy back in 2020. And so I would agree with him. I would agree with that philosophy. But I would say what he and, in my opinion, a lot of other architects missed the mark. They're narrow minded in their view of the world. The world is this, not necessarily this. And I say that when you're an architect and you're designing a community that you're not part of or you don't have any familiarity, how are you going to design the correct building? How are you going to be knowledgeable of it? So I understand his philosophy, and I definitely think he mentioned about the engine. I equate it to music. Architecture needs to be more inclusive to have a really beautiful symphony of architecture, and that's how I say it. In order for, and it's getting better, but we still have a long way to go.
What are the biggest challenges you face?
One of the biggest challenges, architecture is a challenge in and of itself. I have obstacles in front of me, not because of who I am and not because of what I can do. It's because of what the outward presence of who I am, my race. But a challenge that I refuse to let get in the way of what I wanted to do. One of the other challenges is balancing family and the career of architecture and the aspirations that you may have. And one of the things is just to really consider the big picture of who you are, what makes you who you are, and how do you continue being that person as an architect.
What advice would you give to a young student?
I'm going to start off with, stay true to yourself and don't lose who you are. Too many people in the profession lose who they are. Stay involved in your community. Be a sponge and learn. Get out of your comfort zone. The other thing I would say is progress, not perfection. People are human and they'll do the best they can. But that's what I say, it's important that you have progress in your life, not necessarily perfection, because perfection, it can really push you ways that you don't want to be pushed and causes stress that you don't need to have. It's perfect at the end of the day when somebody's happy in the building that you did. That's where your perfection is.